Who is England's best playmaker? Ironically, England actually do have a number of number 10s that we can pick from in this tournament, whether we play a 3-4-3 or whether we play a 4-2-3-1. And 4-2-3-1 is the way that you get these three players in. But who will take the mantle of the number 10? I think that England will naturally have a number 10 in this side, and they do need it for creativity, but they also need it in the Gareth Southgate side for working hard defensively. And that's why the argument that someone like a Mason Mount should start for England in that position has come about. Now, Mason Mount, for me, is one of the most underrated players that I've seen in the league. And he is now getting the plaudits that I feel that he deserves. He was Lampard's boy. I've said it in Chelsea previews before. But if you ever watch Chelsea play, the role that he does positionally in that side, whether it's coming deep and dropping into the midfield and playing that almost floating number 10 role where he can come to the left-hand side and create those overloads and overlaps, and how effective he is in that transition between midfield and attack, is the reason why he shouldn't necessarily be discounted. Now, in terms of actual technical ability, I don't think he's the most technically gifted between him, Foden and Jack Grealish. I think there's an argument that Foden is possibly the most technically gifted and Grealish the most effective. But Mount does a lot off the ball in terms of pressing, picking up the right positions. And I also think as well, he's treated slightly harshly with regard to his ability to make the right pass. You see it in the Champions League final. It's a gorgeous pass. He finds the right space. He draws teams out. So I do think that if Gareth Southgate deployed a Mason Mount and didn't play Grealish and Foden, and that may happen. He may play somebody like a Sterling or a Rashford in almost inverted number 10 roles. That could happen. Or even a Jadon Sancho on the right-hand side. There's no need to worry necessarily that Mason Mount can't step up and take that mantle. Phil Foden is exceptionally gifted. He's absolutely unbelievable. When he plays off that left-hand side, he causes teams absolute nightmares. And that is probably the reason why he's more than likely to start on the left-hand side than he is at number 10. But I do feel that he can play number 10. He has got the attributes to do so. I think in the Manchester City side, you see how he can retain possession. But really and truthfully, Phil Foden's greatest skill is to be able to beat players, his first touch, how he can drag them out of position, and how he can make those additional runs into the box. Now, Mason Mount doesn't tend to make those same type of runs. I think Foden is more effective in the final third, and that's why you've seen the goal output and the assist output in a marginally smaller amount of minutes for him for Manchester City. But he has turned up in the big games for City in the Champions League. That is something to note, and particularly when you're coming into an international tournament and playing the level and the calibre of defences that he could be playing. I would like to see Foden in this side. And then, of course, you've got the main man, Jack Grealish, who I think it's taken people quite a while to understand how good Jack Grealish is. And he draws a lot of fouls, and I'm putting it lightly, but he's so talented on the ball in terms of keeping it, drawing the fouls in the right positions, but how intelligent he is in terms of chance creation. And I think in terms of those chances that he creates for the side, whether it's Aston Villa or England, he's above Phil Foden and Mason Mount. And even that same with someone like a Mason Mount, who is normally a provider and is normally the playmaker for Chelsea, even in a functional side. Grealish has a lot of freedom. Compared to the other two, Phil Foden is very much told to stay on the left-hand side for Manchester City within a really structured system. Mason Mount is given the position and he's intelligent enough to play between the midfield and the forward line, and that's a credit to him because it isn't easy. Jack Grealish is a player that's given all the freedom in the world by Dean Smith, and he's almost a player that has to be given positional freedom. Otherwise, for him, I don't think it works. He likes to pick the ball up from deep, and he can do it. He can drag the ball. He can drag people out of position. Him as a playmaker is the best playmaker for me that England have. And if he did play in the number 10 role, which I do think will be his natural position going forward, I know he plays on that left-hand side for Aston Villa, and I know he can do a role there. But I do feel that him in a 10 with Harry Kane just in front of him, and that dynamic, it remains to be seen whether that will work because of how Kane drops deep and Grealish naturally wants to pick up that position in the final third and those pockets of space. That is a problem for Gareth Southgate in terms of how effective that can be. But you've got to say that Grealish is the best playmaker out of all of them. But does that mean that I would play Jack Grealish as the number 10 in this England side? I wouldn't play him as the number 10. I think Foden and Grealish, albeit more technically gifted in my opinion, and maybe I'm still being harsh on Mason Mount. I'm obviously not a Chelsea fan, so I don't watch him week in, week out. I reckon that Grealish and Foden will play on either side in those other 10 positions. You know, whether on the left-hand side will suit Foden and possibly Grealish on the right-hand side. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see all of these players accommodated into this England team. But for me, Mason has to play in the number 10 role. And I think the reason why he can do that and the reason why he has to do that is because of what he does off the ball. Pressing, engaging the play, trying to win and create turnovers is a bit of a luxury. And England may need it in these types of games, because I felt that against Austria, we gave them a lot of space. There was no pattern to the pressing. It wasn't as regimented. And you need someone like Mason Mount who's that intense. But you also need someone like Mason Mount who's clever enough to pick up those positions slightly deeper in that 10 role, receive it off Declan Rice and Jordan Henderson, and carry the ball. And I feel that he's more than capable and competent to carry the ball in between that midfield and attack and effectively find the right pass for the forward men than someone like a Grealish or a Foden. And I think that Grealish and Foden, to be fair to them, are better in the wide attacking midfield areas. Trying to get into the final third, affecting things. I've spoken about Phil Foden's third man run, Jack Grealish in terms of the carries into the box. But Mason Mount is the link. And I would never have said that someone like Mason Mount would be the first choice number 10 for England. But I do think he deserves that spot, particularly from what I've seen of him. I think he's the most well-rounded out of all of them. Not the most gifted, but the most well-rounded. And that's why I think, particularly England last night, the transition with the midfield and the attack just seemed a little bit disjointed. A lot of that had to do with the type of squad selection that Gareth had. But for me, Mason Mount has to start in the number 10 for England. But let me know in the comment section what you think, because England are blessed with a number of decent number 10s, and that I'm putting it very, very lightly. So let me know, would you play Mason at number 10? Would you play Jack Grealish at number 10? Or would you possibly plump for somebody like a Phil Foden? In any case, if you did enjoy the video, please drop a like. If you're new to the West Ham way, please subscribe. We've got loads of Euro preview type content coming up. I'll try and get this video out before me and Dan do our England best 11 that we want to play in the first group stage game. There will be a Euro prediction league for the West Ham way, so we'll put a link into this description and in the following live stream description. I've lost all my words. So you can check that out as well. And that'll be a fun way of interacting with us, and hopefully we'll get some prizes rolling for that. So it's basically, in short, an opportunity to compete against one another, try and pick the right scores, naturally usually doing a prediction league, and we'll see if we can get some nice prizes for you. But in any case, take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.